Joining the Observer on the air live couldn't be easier. First, visit bit.ly/obguest. Once you click on that, you'll wind up on this screen. Then, you'll have to choose the webcam that you want to use. You can see there's a list of them here. And once you choose the right webcam, you'll then have to choose the microphone that you want to use. It's all very simple. Then type in your name where it says your name here. And once you have finished typing your name, click the join button. Then you'll be in the queue to be on the air. It's that easy. Hi again, everybody. It's Kevin Knessa coming to you live from the newsroom of The Observer and TheObserver.com on this, the 23rd day of April in the year 2024. Sure hope you're enjoying your Tuesday, no matter where it is you are in the country. Pretty nice day here in the Northeast. Let's see, 64 degrees right now, but I bet where Bill Scarterfield is out in Arizona, it's a little bit warmer than that. But if you look at the long-range forecast, beginning Sunday and into Monday, Tuesday of next week, we could be looking at the 80s. Of course, I'll believe that when I see it from our friend Tony Mondero, but we'll see what happens when we talk to him Thursday evening at 7 p.m. when we join him live. Billy says it's a tad warmer than 64 degrees, so I can imagine it's a little bit beautiful there, as it almost always is. Now, before I get to the newspaper this week, I've got a lot of things that I have to get to ahead of time. And we'll start with this. This is upcoming next Tuesday, 1 week from today. I think we announced last week that George King is retiring as the chief of police after 39 and a half years of service to the Kearney Police Department. He joined the Kearney PD in 1985, and the PBA is throwing him a walkout on the 30th, which is a week from today. This starts at 10 o'clock in the morning outside of police headquarters, where he'll walk out, basically ceremonially for the last time, and then they're going to have a reception for him over at the Elks. I'm looking forward to this very, very much. This will be George's last day before he officially hangs it up, and then Scott Macfie will then become the chief of the police department. George's retirement is certainly something that is well-deserved after 39 and a half years. Well, it's too bad we can't say 40, so darn close. But he continues a legacy that started with his dad, George King Sr., who was the deputy chief of the Kearney Police Department many, many years ago. And then George became the chief himself, and his son is now at the Kearney Police Department. His son, Sean, and then there's one of his other sons is a police officer elsewhere as well. So we look forward to that on Tuesday. So if you have nothing planned, at 10 a.m. Tuesday morning, head on over to Kearney Police Headquarters and salute George King as he walks out for the very last time as the chief of the Kearney Police Department. Now, 1 week ago today, the town council hosted a meeting. And unfortunately, it was so crowded that there were, I'm told, at least 100 people who weren't able to get in. I couldn't get in. Although I didn't come when I heard there was a large crowd, I figured it would be impossible to kind of navigate through all the people who were hanging out on the stairs and things of that nature. And the meeting was broadcast on Zoom, as it is every week. But unfortunately, there was a point in the meeting when George got up to speak and give his speech about his retirement, and then Scott and the other promotions that took place. And for whatever the reason, he decided he didn't want to hold on to the microphone. The only downside to that was that even though the people in the chamber could hear him, nobody else could that was watching on the screen, or anybody who was outside. They wouldn't have been able to hear him anyway because they were downstairs. And because of that, I wasn't able to get a lot of what I was hoping to get anecdotally in his retirement. But the good news is that Ron Smits, the public information officer, did indeed send us photographs from George's retirement being accepted, And of course, with Scott being sworn in as the new chief, Paul Bershefski being sworn as the deputy chief, and there were a significant number of other promotions that took place as well 1 week ago today. And as you can see here, this is George King, right dead center. Carol Jean Doyle, the mayor, had a proclamation drawn up for him, and he didn't know this was going to happen. So she called Ruth King, who you see standing next to George's wife, and they all able to make it. That's George's son right there, and then also his other son next to Mary Trine DeCastro, the councilwoman, and Councilman Faceto is in the photograph as well. They are two of the three who are on the police committee. And Rich Kanopka is also, I believe, on the police committee, but he walked in a little bit late, so he wasn't there for the beginning, and that's why he's not in this photograph. But this was of George King and his family when the proclamation was read afterwards by Mayor Carol Jean Doyle on his retirement. The next photo you see here is Scott Macfie, who becomes the new the new chief. He was sworn in on Tuesday last. However, he will officially take over as the chief of the department either in the afternoon of the 30th or on May 1st. I'm not exactly sure how that all works, but he will become the chief once the current chief, George King, is officially retired. And I'll tell you what, I've known Scott since I was a teenager, and he is just a tremendous human being. More than just a great cop, he's a wonderful human being. He has always treated me with incredible respect, even at times where I haven't necessarily deserved it. And I can still remember going back to 2020, one of the moments where there were so many moments that really made me realize what a special human being he was. But I'll never forget in 2020 when the Black Lives Matter protest took place in Kearney. And there were a lot of people who showed up to that. And it was a very difficult time in the country's history because of what had happened with George Floyd in Minneapolis. And not only was Scott there, he was out in the forefront, standing up in the front, setting an example, keeping that place safe. With a lot of people who were close by who were not very complimentary or very kind to a lot of police officers that day. And he ensured, along with George, that the entire day was safe. And it's little things like that that often for me set a reminder about how significant and great a person is. And that's just one of so many things that he has done over the years as a police officer that have set him aside as one of the best there ever was. And I'm really happy that he is going to become the next chief of the department. And I'm sure he's going to continue the legacy that George set over the last couple of years since he himself has been the chief. So we say congratulations to Chief Scott Macfie. I really wanted to be there, Chief, and I'm sorry that it was so crazy that day that I wasn't able to get in. And, you are going to do great things in the time that you spend as the head of this department. You got to remember something else, too. He and George are the same age. In fact, Scott's about, I think, a couple of weeks older than George, but Scott didn't get on the job until 1992 when George did in 1985. And for many years, those of you who remember Elm and Stuyvesant, Elm Street Deli, that was Scott's for many, many years. A lot of people will remember that. And he was the owner for a long time. In the ceremony on Tuesday, the current chief, pinned the new chief, and you can see them saluting here. And everybody was gathered for this. This is always a very touching moment in a police promotion ceremony when the pins are placed on somebody's uniform. But this one is especially special because, George and Scott are such good friends. They really are. I mean, when you talk about two people who were destined to be a chief and a deputy chief and then the replacing chief, it's these two gentlemen. So this was a very, very poignant moment indeed when it was going on. So I wanted to make sure that everybody saw this, and that was at the ceremony on Tuesday night as well. Mayor Carol Jean Doyle was the person who got the honor to swear them all in, which is just incredible. She did that even though we couldn't hear a damn thing she was saying. Even we tried to get the microphone over to them, but it just was a losing effort. Unfortunately, it's just a handheld microphone. That's all it would have taken. Oh, I wish somebody had grabbed it, because unfortunately missed a great portion of what was said that day. This is Paul Bershefski. Paul is going to be the deputy chief of the Kearney Police Department as soon as May 1st rolls around. So we're very happy for Paul as well. One of the nice guys in this police department. Somebody who comes from a law enforcement family. His dad, I believe, was a state trooper in the New Jersey State Police. Grew up in Harrison. Very, very nice family, a legacy family of police officers, and he will become Scott's new right-hand man come May 1st, and we couldn't be happier for Paul getting this promotion that takes place on the 1st of May, and this is Paul with his family at that swearing-in ceremony a couple of days ago. This is now Sergeant Matthew Lopez with his girlfriend Samantha Chimento. Matt was a police officer for a bunch of years. It's hard to believe, but I think it's going on 7 or 8 years now, and he was promoted to sergeant at the meeting as well. This is Harold Arzudia, who is also a sergeant now, and he's there. I believe that's his daughter and wife, but I can't say with 100% certainty at his swearing-in ceremony. Another great guy who's involved in a lot of things and outside of police work. This is John Fabula, who many of you know. We speak of him a lot. He was on the air with us a couple of months ago. John is as good a detective as there is, and he is also my prep brother. He graduated from St. Peter's Prep in 2003, so for me, this is extra special when a prep brother gets promoted, and he is now a sergeant as well at the Kearney Police Department. And this is a large group photo. Unfortunately, there were no photos of the lieutenants and the captains who were made. And of course, I don't have a list of all the names of everybody who was promoted, but I will make that up to everybody once I get a copy of the list of who was promoted, and we'll certainly list all their names. But a very, very nice and very special evening. A long one, too. It lasted a long time, did this meeting. So this is a great picture. Well, at least the back row and some in the front row. It's a nice picture, and I hope you all enjoy it. So it's very great to see that some of these guys who worked their butts off during some very trying times, becoming higher ranking officers. My buddy Bill Scarterfield asks how big the Kearney Police Department is, and at the last check, Bill, I don't want to say exactly, but it's approximately 120 police officers. It's a pretty decent size police department for a town that boasts 42,000 residents on the other side of the Hudson River, sandwiched in between Newark and Jersey City. The crime rate is very, very, very low, which has always been a good thing, and they've done a great job of protecting the town that is on both sides, major, major urban metropolises. So a pretty decent sized department. It was bigger in the 80s. They downsized it many years ago, but they're working very hard, I think, to keep the table of organization as staffed as possible. And we will see, I'm sure, it continue to grow as the population continues to grow. And that's the bottom line. This population here is just absolutely booming in this area because of all of the redevelopment that's going on. But thank you, Billy. I appreciate you asking that. A lot of great human beings in the Kearney Police Department, including the man you see right here, who was the outgoing chief. Now, coming up on Friday, believe it or not, it's already time for the annual volleyball tournament, which is sponsored by Project Graduation. All of the proceeds go to Project Graduation. there are still a lot of tickets available for this. And folks, when I tell you that this is the biggest fundraiser of the year, I kid you not. They need people to show up, or if you're unable to show up, to donate to the cause, because this is why the kids are able to go every year to an undisclosed location, have a safe night, the night of graduation, that is drug and alcohol substance free. And there's so many activities, so much food, and things for the kids to do on a night where otherwise people have lost their lives because of drunk driving or getting high and things of that nature. So the volleyball tournament takes place on Saturday night right here at Kearney High School. The doors open at 5:30. The matches begin at 6:30. And there's some pretty cool matchups here too. You can see them. They're listed right here on the flyer, but it's teachers versus seniors, firefighters against the cops, the Board of Ed against town employees, Franklin School against Washington School, Garfield against Roosevelt, and Lincoln versus Schuyler. So if you're not doing anything on Friday, help a good cause. Refreshments are available for purchase. And if you're unable to make it, we'll get it and put it on our website and on our social media channels. In fact, put it in the comments below how you can ping money to anybody to make a donation to Project Graduation. Let's make sure that they make the money that they need, because otherwise they would possibly have to cancel this event, and that would be the greatest shame of them all. Then a couple of weeks later, on May 19th, Kearney High School's Project Graduation Casino bus trip to Wind Creek takes place. $45 per person. You get $25 back in casino money. Coffee. Bus leaves at 9, returns at 7. You go over to Pennsylvania. You can go to the shops. I think there's outlets and things there that you can do if you're not a gambler, but there's also plenty of gambling. They leave from the Kearney Bank lot. So the details are there. You can make a payment using Cash App or Venmo, and that's on the screen right now. And your best thing is you'll be home by 7 o'clock, so you will not have to spend the whole weekend there. It's just one day, leave at 9, back by 7, a nice 10-hour day. This, again, is also sponsored by the Project Graduation Committee, who for so many years has been doing this. This started, I want to say 24, 25 years ago with Steve Dill and a couple of other people who just wanted to make sure that kids went to graduation. When they were done, they made it home that night. There was, I think, one year, I don't know if it was somebody from Kearney, but there was a tragedy where a kid was killed in a drunk driving accident. And that's what kind of led to this whole Project Graduation thing. And it's been going on for all these years. This is something worth keeping going for many, many, many years to come. So that will be on the 19th of May. If you have some time, please indeed support this tremendous cause. It is 48 minutes past the hour. Canessa here with you on the Observer Live. Just give me a second to take a little sip. Been talking for 20 minutes straight. And as you can see on the front page of this week's edition, Lincoln Middle School had, for the first time, a career fair. And you see Mark Wiggins there from Armitage and Wiggins Funeral Home. And there were so many people from so many career paths that were there to speak to the 8th graders about what they could do, once they're in high school and once they get through high school. Not everybody's college bound, not everybody's trade school bound, but people from different walks of life were there. I know Wani Wang was there from Intrinsic Cafe and a host of others. A great day that they put on. Jimmy Hempel is just doing things at Lincoln Middle School. He is a great principal. I finally had a chance to meet him in person last week, as I might have mentioned. And so many great things are happening over there. So this was one of those examples. And the media specialist, of course, her name just ran out of my head as I was about to say it, put all this together. She sent us the information and photos. You'll see some more. A great day at Lincoln Middle School. And we wish them congratulations. But it's a place where so many good things are happening. I'm really happy for all of them. Harrison High School's second class of Hall of Fame inductees is coming up. Now, it's not necessarily the second class ever, but from 94 until last year, the hall was inactive. And Sean Dollahan is the athletic director, and he's put together a tremendous program with some great inductees, including our own Mayor James A. Fife, who will go in as a swimming coach. And I'll tell you what, Sean Dollahan has worked his butt off to get this together. The program alone is like 200 pages, and it looks like a course catalog that you would get into college. It's so big. And all of the proceeds from the event, the ticket sales, the ad sales, all that, it all goes to Harrison High School athletics. So I hope you'll check this out because it's another great cause, and that's coming up in a couple of weeks. So get a chance, check that out, especially if you're from Harrison High School, the most or went to Harrison High School. And the most important thing I want to say about that though is there were some people who said, well, it seems like the one era didn't get that many people in one year, or some too many people from this era got in but not this one. What they do is they try to take a cross sampling of different eras from the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, and the 2010s. You can't get in until you've been an alumnus for at least 10 years, which I think is a good thing. There's like a 10-year waiting program. And then they try to take a couple from each of the eras. So it's all spread out. So if you happen to see a name of somebody who hasn't been inducted yet, Sean wanted me to say this, but it goes without reason. Eventually, they will get in. So just be patient. It will eventually come to fruition. Check it out when you get a chance. And it's something that could very easily come up in conversations. Mayor Michael Melham is having a State of the Township address at Nanina's next week in Belleville. Now, this is a paid event. This is not like other towns because the mayor doesn't necessarily do a State of the Town in a town like Belleville with a weak form of government. But Mayor Melham does this as a way to give out information about the town, and it's also a fundraiser. All the proceeds go to the Michael Melham Foundation, and all of the charities that are benefited by the Michael Melham Foundation are worthy and good causes. So I think it's $40 if you want to go see the State of the Township address, but it's more of a party, really, and a way to raise funds for a good cause. I got some emails, people saying, how dare he charge money for this? But the truth of the matter is, it's a fundraiser. It's not an event that he has to do. There's no bylaw in Belleville that says you have to have a State of the Township address, but it's something he does so he can raise money and send that off for people who might need it. So check that out when you get a chance in this week's edition on page number 2. This is a pretty cool story. Seventh graders went down to Trenton and watched a session of the assembly. I never knew this, but the superintendent of schools in East Newark is also a member of the General Assembly, and they were there when she was proposing a bill, and they got to see their superintendent, who is also the principal and who is also a member of the General Assembly, speaking. So that was really cool to see happening in Trenton a couple of weeks ago, and I'm glad that they sent this to us. I didn't know about it until just a couple of days ago, so we have that in there as well. And now this, Nina Claudius, the PBA president, sent this to me. The PBA donated $500 to the boys varsity basketball program, which is a very, very nice gesture. And the head coach is Mark McCaffrey, who is a retired detective from the Kearney PD. And that money can be used for any particular reason that the coach or the athletic department deems as necessary. But this was something I didn't know until recently. Mina told me that when he was a young kid, Mark McCaffrey, when he was on the streets as a police officer, was a huge influence to him. Whether it was in the DARE program and other youth related programs, Mark was always there for him. And that was one of the reasons why Mina wanted to become a police officer. So he paid it forward. He paid it forward. He became a policeman, and they made a donation to the entire PBA to the Kearney basketball program. A great gesture by Mina, a great gesture by the entire PBA, and it's good to see Mark McCaffrey still involved, even though he has since retired from the KPD. So good job out of everybody in that regard. Now, Last week, I had a chance to interview a gentleman by the name of Reed Anfinson. He is the owner and editor of 3 weekly newspapers in the state of Minnesota. He ran a column a year ago in the Minnesota Star Tribune. And when I tell you it was one of the most influential columns I've ever read as a newspaper journalist, I kid you not. I don't want to say I'm begging everybody, but I'm really requesting that everybody who reads this week's edition, even if you don't read the rest of the paper, that you read this opinion piece on page number 6. And the reason is because this addresses straight on the importance of having weekly newspapers in a modern world. In a world where so many people consume their news from social media and have no idea whether the news that they're getting is accurate or true or has been researched or sourced or anything of this nature. And in Reed's own words, a community that doesn't have a community newspaper is going to be at a loss because you don't know where the information you're getting is necessarily coming from. We've talked about it so many times on our air right here. And some of the people who are watching us today, we've had personal conversations about, oh, I saw this on Facebook. Well, that's good for you, but is it true? And so many times we have seen that information that gets put out there has been wrong, inaccurate. Just a couple of weeks ago, there was a Facebook post somebody put out there about migrants being placed on Harrison Avenue, the Newark Jersey City Turnpike, that turned out to be 100% inaccurate and false. But it caused an uproar, and it caused people to panic and wonder what's going to happen. There's going to be more crime at Walmart, et cetera, et cetera. So if I could ask a favor, it's that everybody who's watching this right now take the time to read this column and then take a look at our Facebook or our YouTube pages. The video that I did with Reed was last week. It was a week ago tomorrow. And it really addresses some things that are dire to us. Because I know there's a lot of people out there, even though there are people who say they hate us, but who truly do love us and would be the first ones to complain if we ever had to shut our doors. And you got to be realistic, folks. When you look at the industry as a whole, many newspapers are closing down. We are so blessed in 2024 to still be alive. We are the only or one of 2 weekly newspapers still surviving in Hudson County, and one of like 3 or 4 newspapers throughout the entire county as well. When you think about that, it's a blessing for us, but that might not always be the case. So please, when you can, read this column on page 6 and then watch the video somewhere on our Facebook page when you get a chance. Jason Bernstein has sports this week, including an athlete of the week. So I hope you'll check those out. And don't forget, we also have 2 pages of classifieds. If you need a place to live, if you need a job, you can find it all in this week's edition of The Observer. Check it out. Thank you, Carol Manley. Thank you for your beautiful words. You know how much you mean to us. Thank you so much. It's 2 o'clock. Kevin Canessa here with you on The Observer Live. I want to thank Carol Manley, Bill Scarterfield, who is here. June Hearn is here. Larry Hanlon, Pat Long, our wonderful mail carrier. John Drimkowski is here with us as well. Carmen DeJesus, and anybody who may be lurking in the background. Thank you for spending part of your Tuesday here with us today. Don't forget, Thursday night at 7 p.m. I'll be back with Tony Mondero to give you a weather forecast. We're going to move it to Thursday nights at 7 p.m., so hope you might join us. And of course, if anything breaks during the course of the week, we will join you live right here to bring you those updated newscasts or information, sorry. So from the newsroom of The Observer and theobserver.com, Kevin Canessa signing off for now. And we hope to see you back here again very, very soon. Oh, and Manny Ventoso, too. I skipped right over Manny. I'm so sorry, Manny. Good to see you, too, buddy. Enjoy the rest of your Tuesday, everybody. Take care.